if you want to see how I made this beautiful set with pigment powders, keep watching. So here I've already put the base on. I've already buffed and put the base on and everything. And I'm using Rargim, if I'm saying that right. Probably not. Probably just butchered that. But I'm using that nude first, and then I'm going to mix it with Nails Bling Supply NB17, because the Rargim nude was a little bit light and sheer, and I wanted it to be a little bit more of a darker nude. So that's why I am mixing my nudes. I usually do mix my nudes to get the color that I want. Okay, here I am taking a pigment base is what it's called. It's from Tino's shop. It's really good with pigment powders. You lay this down first, and it acts as a really good sticky type base for the pigment powders to stick to and give that nice bright deep color too from the pigments, versus doing it with just using like regular white gel polish. If you've ever done that, sometimes it does work, but I've noticed since I've gotten this pigment base, the powders turn out more vibrant and bright using it with this pigment base. So here I'm just gonna go ahead and draw out the V French shape and cure that and get that ready for the pigment powders. So here I am taking more of that pigment base, and I'm going to start creating the design that is on the ring finger, I do believe. And with this, I'm only going to be doing a little bit of the design at a time. As you'll see, I draw one part of the design, and then I'll draw another little part of the design, and then cure it. Well, and then move on and then cure it. But the reason why I do that is because if I draw out the whole design and then try to use the pigment powders on each line, I didn't want some of the pigment powders to fly around and get on other pieces of the design that I didn't want it to go there. So that's why I kind of just did 2 at a time with that. And then I'm just going to finish the rest of the hand drawing in the V French with the pigment base. And here I'm finished one hand, and I'm just going to stick that in the lamp and let that cure and move on to the next hand and do the exact same thing. And then now I'm going to get the pigment powders out. I just got these pigment powders off of Amazon. They're really good powders too. I'll have them linked below. And then instead of taking like a big fluffy brush that you normally would use, I'm just using a regular small nail brush to do this. For me, it's better control over the powder. And then I just start a little bit, like pressing hard a little bit at the edges, and then as you're going down, just lighten your hand up a little bit, because you kind of want that fade for it to blend into the next color. So that is what I am doing here. And notice I'm wiping the brush off as good as I can before I move on to the next color, so none of it gets mixed in. And then you can see with the orange also, you can take the orange and like fade it up a little bit into the pink, and do the same motion with your hand when you're going down where the yellow is going to be. Just lighten up your hand a little bit, and then press down more with the yellow, blend it up into the orange, and then down to get that coverage. And here I am just taking a regular fluffy brush and just dusting off the excess of the powder. And I forgot to say, normally before you start putting on the pigment powder, you want to wipe the nails off with acetone so the powder doesn't stick on the nude part of the nail. But even then, even when I wipe it off, sometimes a little bit of traces of it does still stick. And as you've seen right there, you've seen me just taking some acetone and just wiping it off. And yes, I know people have said, oh, don't use acetone on your brushes. Don't use acetone to clean up your art. Let me tell you, I have always used acetone for cleaning up my mistakes when I'm drawing, or like this, for instance, cleaning off a little bit of the powder on the nail. I've always used acetone. I've always used acetone with my brushes, and I've never had a problem. It's never ruined my brushes. So I don't know, that's just my opinion, and that's just what works for me. Here again, just doing the powder and blending the powders together, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do paint on the rest of the design and then give that a cure. But if you see here, this is what I meant by doing some of the design a little bit at a time. That way the powder doesn't stick onto the white part. And if I wouldn't have waited, some of that powder might have flew over onto the white of the design where I didn't want it to go. So that's why I'm doing it just a few steps at a time and curing as I go, and then doing the powder as I go, so it doesn't get mixed up and look horrible. once I'm finished and dusted everything off, I'm going to go ahead and apply my top coat. I always use the Beetles top coat. I love it. It's like the perfect consistency. I don't like a runny top coat, a thin runny top coat, and Beetles is not. It's a little bit on the thicker side, but not too thick, if you know what I mean. But I'm going to apply the top coat on all the nails and let that cure before I move on and do anything else. Because if you make a mistake and you have to erase it and take some off, you're going to take that powder with it and have to redo the whole nail. So apply the top coat first. So here, I think it's Modelones. Yes, it's Modelones or Model Ones, however you pronounce that. I'm using a silver glitter, and I'm going to take some of that and put it on my palette right there. And I'm going to just draw around the edges of the whole design on all the nails. On the V-line and the design that I did on the ring finger, which is right here. I'm just going to draw all around the edges to give it a little bit of glitter, a little bit of sparkle. Okay, now that I've got all that done, I'm gonna start. I got my rhinestones out, my gems that I'm planning on using for the set, and putting some Zula's glue on and just putting the bling placement down. I didn't show it on this nail, but I buff before I put the gems on, just to give the gems something to stick to better than just on top of the top coat. You always want to make sure you buff a little bit to give it some grip. And here, like you can see, as I said, I'm just using Zula's glue and just putting the rhinestone placement down. I struggle with rhinestone placement, I'm not gonna lie, when I'm freestyling and doing like my own thing, my own designs. I struggle all the time trying to figure out where I want to put these stones, because I'm so finicky and picky with how things look, and it takes me forever. I don't know if anyone else is like that, but I know I am. But luckily for this one, I had an inspo pick that the customer wanted for me to do this set. So can see on this nail where I buff before I put the glue on and the gemstones on. I go ahead and buff it a little bit, wipe it off, and then put the glue on and put the rhinestones on. Now this part of placing those caviar beads was a little bit difficult because, well, with using like the Zula's glue, if anyone out there uses it, you'll know what I'm talking about. The glue dries fast for some reason. It dries fast, so you gotta put a little bit down and then work quickly to put your gems on before it dries. And then other times I've noticed when I've got it sitting out, because I keep mine in the fridge. I don't know if anyone else does that. It's what it's recommended to do, is keep the glue in the fridge. And when I first get it out of the fridge and I'm first using it, that's when I've noticed it dries quick. So you got to work fast. But if it's kind of sitting out for a little bit and it's kind of gotten more of room temperature, it doesn't stick as quick, but still quicker than other glues I've used. That's the only, I guess, one downfall I would say that I don't like about the Zula's glue, in my opinion, is how it dries so fast. Other than that, I really like this glue. So here, for the one finger, it has pixie crystals covering the full nail. I'm choosing not to use Zula's glue for that because of how the glue dries so fast. So I am using the McCart rhinestone nail glue, which I have found works great for using with pixies. I've also ordered from Jenny's Secret. I think she's called Jenny's Secret Official on Instagram. I have ordered her pixie glue. So I am going to be using that probably for future sets. Well, I want to get it and see how it does and things like that. But so far, the McCart glue for me has worked just fine with covering the nail with pixies like this. The pixies don't come off, they stay. So yeah. Just finishing up the rest of the nails with the bling, putting on the charms and the bling. I love these charms. They're these little heart-shaped silver charms. I actually got them from Shein. I do believe it was either Shein or Ali Express. I'm pretty sure it was Shein. But I can link everything that I've used in this video in the description below, as I always do. But yeah, I think those charms are really pretty. If you're looking for good quality gems that you don't want to break your wallet, Shein definitely has some really beautiful charms on there. And then after that, nail was dried, as you could see. I just took a nail brush and dusted off any loose pixies that I may have missed. And then here I am using this gummy gel. I got it from eNail Couture. I like to take this and go around the gems with it after they're dried, after the Azule's glue is dried. I like to take this and just lightly go around the gems. I think it just gives it more of a secure fit, especially when you're doing like a cluster like this nail is. Putting that gummy jelly around it gives it extra support, and I have found that it holds even better putting this jelly around it. Again, I will link this in the description below too if you guys want to, if you're interested in getting that and checking it out too. I'm not sponsored by her or anything like that. I'm just telling you the products that I use and that I like. And with this jelly, you do have to cure it. It's not like the Azule's glue or anything. You do have to cure it, which I like to let it cure. I usually stick it in the lamp for the 60 seconds, and I'll do it twice just to make sure that it's good and dry around those charms. And then here I'm taking my top coat, which is Beetles, and I'm going back over around the edge of the gems. Some people do this, some people don't. My opinion, I like it. I love doing it. It makes it, to me, it feels like the gems are even more secure, or even triple secured when I'm taking the top coat and applying it around the gems at the very end. Of course, be careful, don't get any of the top coat on the gems, but if you do, you can just wipe it off. But I do that regardless anyway. At the end of each set, I take some acetone on a nail wipe and I will scrub the gems. That's why you have to make sure that the rhinestones are glass. If not, I think it'll take the color off and stuff like that. So I always make sure that I use glass rhinestones, but that's what I'm getting ready to do now. I dip it in and I will scrub the gems pretty hard. Scrub it pretty good with your finger to get any of the excess glue or anything that's gotten on the rhinestones. It'll get it right off and they will shine really beautifully, as you can see here. This video doesn't really do it justice, but trust me, if you've ever, when you're doing nails and you know when you've put gems on nails and you know how they look cloudy and musty and stuff from your fingerprints and everything, or a little bit of glue being on them. But once you take the acetone and you scrub it off the way I'm doing now, they shine so beautiful afterwards. And that is pretty much it. I'm just going to file and then place them in the box. If you guys have any questions or comments, just leave them down below. I'll read them and respond. Thank you guys for watching my video. Please subscribe if you haven't and give this video a like. Bye!